Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Ignition Time. This is some big news for our community. Welcome to this channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Chhoda. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I was able to overcome the cycle of poverty that you see on your screen right now, and I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. I want to help you live the American dream once we can put this pandemic behind us. This is big news. Here's a headline of an article on your screen from CNN. The Biden administration says that states can restart pandemic unemployment benefits as lawsuits mount. Now, I want to get our viewers and subscribers caught up with what's going on, and I'll provide you with a link to this article in the description section below so you can check it out. There are many states that have actually terminated pandemic unemployment benefits early, and they can restart the programs, but there may be a break in payments for some unemployed Americans, according to new guidance from the Biden administration. Now, you know, because I reported this first on our channel, that many unemployed residents in many states have actually filed lawsuits to reinstate benefits. I'm talking about unemployed workers in Ohio and Oklahoma, in addition to unemployed workers in Indiana, Maryland, and Texas, actually went to court to force their governors to resume the payments. Now, in Maryland, and this is extremely interesting, Maryland residents will receive pandemic benefits until the mandated expiration by Congress, that is the 6th of September, after securing a court victory on Tuesday. And payments in Indiana could restart as soon as Friday. Just to give our viewers some background, citing workforce shortages, governors in 26 states have decided to terminate one of the three pandemic unemployment insurance programs that Congress enacted in March 2020, and that was extended by the American Rescue Plan. Most of these states have already stopped sending benefits to residents. So, in addition to the $300 a week, this included the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program that included benefits for part-time workers, gig workers. Some 4.1 million Americans are expected to be impacted by the governors in these 26 states who will decide to cut the benefits early. But the Labor Department, the government of the United States, essentially said, hey, you should be restarting these benefits. So here's what actually will happen. If the date of termination has already passed, in other words, if the state has already cut unemployment benefits, states may need to enter a new agreement with the Department of Labor according to guidance from the government. So here's the update. Two of the programs, a $300 weekly boost and the payments to those who've already exhausted their regular state benefits, will not begin until after the agreement has been signed. However, there is some good news for those on the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. For freelancers, the self-employed, and others, they must be allowed to certify for the weeks they missed so that they can receive these payments, according to the Department of Labor. Folks, this is big news. This means that those who are receiving the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, the freelance workers, the gig workers, the part-time workers, should get payments even if your state decided to opt out early of the unemployment benefits. That means you should get the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program payments. However, you will not get the $300 a week unless the state enters into a new agreement. So this is very, very interesting. In fact, new guidance suggests that if the termination date has not passed, the state can simply inform the U.S. Department of Labor that it is rescinding or modifying the notice that it had filed. Now, mostly Republican-led states announced termination starting in May and June. Many consumer advocates, many law firms, and Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont urged the Biden administration to stop the governors from ending the payments. But the administration has said in the past that it could not do anything to prevent the states from seizing the programs. But according to this new guidance, the states are basically saying, hey, PUA program recipients should certify. So if you are a PUA program recipient in a state where your governor has ended the unemployment benefits early, you should be able to get the PUA benefits, because according to new guidance from the government, you should be getting those benefits. However, the $300 a week, it's not that easy. And the extension of unemployment benefits, the PEUC program, not that easy. That is a situation where the states will have to apply. Now, how did all of this end up happening? Well, it ended up happening because jobless residents in at least 5 states have filed lawsuits arguing that the benefits were improperly halted. In fact, judges in Maryland and Indiana have ordered officials to temporarily restore the payments while the cases play out in court, but only Maryland has actually obeyed the order at the time I'm recording this video. In fact, a state judge in Maryland issued a preliminary injunction this week, continuing his ban on Governor Larry Hogan dropping the benefits. But the state labor secretary in the state of Maryland testified at a hearing and said that the programs will continue until at least mid-August because the federal government is requiring states to provide 30 days notice to terminate them. Now, it's very unlikely that this situation will be resolved in Maryland by then, but this means that jobless Maryland residents should continue to receive benefits until Congress's scheduled expiration date. Here's a quote from Sally Dwarick Fisher, who represents some of the plaintiffs in Maryland. The court understood the human toll as well. It understood the costs to Marylanders outweighed any potential harm to the state. According to a spokesperson of the State Department of Workforce Development in Indiana, Scott Olson, this can indeed happen. The Indiana Court of Appeals on Monday denied the state's motion to stay the preliminary injunction issued last month by lower court. Here's a quote from Governor Eric Holcomb. He said this: "We acknowledge the Court of Appeals decision today. Notwithstanding, the Department of Workforce Development will continue to work with the U.S. Department of Labor on finalizing the pandemic unemployment insurance benefits to comply with the judge's order." Now, this resumption of payments will allow unemployed individuals in the state of Indiana to put food on the table, to make rent, to be able to keep the lights on. In these states that I mentioned, unemployed individuals are arguing that state law requires officials to obtain federal unemployment compensation, get it from the federal government, and then distribute it to its residents. Now, let's shift gears to the state of Ohio. Unemployed workers in Ohio filed a lawsuit earlier this month arguing that their state officials must do the same. Remember, Ohio did terminate the $300 weekly benefit at the end of June, and the plaintiffs are asking the court to order the resumption of the supplement. In the state of Oklahoma, a lawsuit filed on behalf of an unemployed resident argued that Republican Governor Kevin Stitt did not have the authority to terminate the programs and that state law requires officials to secure federal benefits for unemployed workers and distribute it to them. And in Texas, unemployed individuals in Texas have also filed a lawsuit against Republican Governor Greg Abbott for ending the benefits on the 26th of June, basically saying that he did not have the authority to do so. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Our channel, the Ignition Time channel, was the first channel on YouTube to report that Republican states were ending unemployment benefits. We were also the first channel on YouTube to talk about lawsuits that were being mounted by unemployed individuals in these Republican states, and also the first channel on YouTube to break the news that lawsuits were being won. Yes, they were being won by the plaintiffs. Now, I'm reporting that the federal government is actually stepping in to help resume unemployment benefits at this moment in time for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, but not at this moment in time if you're in one of those states. Not yet for the $300 a week and the state extension of unemployment benefits through the federal government. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. We'll provide you with a link to all of our resources in the description section below. Please follow me on Twitter. This right here is my Twitter feed. You'll be able to keep up with all the latest news that I review on Twitter, and you'll be able to follow along with me on Twitter as well. Our Twitter handle is ignition_time. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.